It has been a year since Russia invaded Ukraine. And what would you say is the main lesson the world can learn from this tragedy?
Very simply, that you stand up to bullies. That if Putin had been successful, we know he would not have stopped with Ukraine. He would have marched on to Moldova and other countries. But the resiliency of the Ukrainians and the world community united against this act of unprovoked aggression and violation of their sovereign borders, their territorial integrity, it was just inexcusable. And the lesson is we stand up to bullies and you fight. You don't just let them take.
You talk about resilience, but U.S. assistance has been a key factor throughout this year to the Ukraine resistance and Ukraine success resistance. Do you think Vladimir Putin underestimates or could not count on President Joe Biden's resolve?
So I want to make clear a few things. Number one, the U.S. has been very helpful in providing assistance to Ukraine, but it's not just been the United States, it has been the world community. I think clearly Putin did underestimate the resolve of the world community to come together and oppose aggressive, unprovoked war crimes like we're seeing here. There's no way Ukraine could have done this without the U.S., without Poland, without France, Germany, Japan, Israel, countries all over the world, countries of conscience, standing up to bullies.
As you mentioned, Ukraine has surprised the world by showing determination and courage during this year. Can you share your prediction from the next month?
I'm not very good at predictions. I do want to reemphasize that Putin thought this would be a 3-day exercise and he would take over Ukraine. And I don't think he remembered the Ukraine grandmothers and mothers and fathers, and he underestimated Zelensky and his leadership. They've been absolutely extraordinary. But it's only common sense. I mean, you're going to defend your home. You would do it in Argentina. We would do it in the United States. I don't know what Putin was thinking, but it's their country. Of course they're going to defend it.
Russian troops, as you mentioned, have committed all kinds of atrocities during this year of invasion. Can you imagine Vladimir Putin stand in front of international court to pay for the war crimes?
I'm confident he will be held accountable for his crimes. And I want to respond to what you said and tell you that I don't think you or I know the depth of the war crimes that have been committed. They're still being uncovered on a daily basis, and they're absolutely disgusting. But even beyond that, we know that the target has been not the Ukrainian military facilities and people, but the Ukrainian people. He's gone after their food supplies, their energy. He's attacked schools, hospitals, old age homes, condominium buildings. He's killed civilians, kids, children, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. It's absolutely appalling. There have been mass graves, there have been tortures, there have been unspeakable war crimes, and we don't know the account of it. Our Vice President Kamala Harris talked about it at the Munich conference last week. Joe Biden has talked about it. Zelensky's talked about it. But right now, today's not the day for accountability. Today's the day that Putin has to stop and go home and end this violence. Then we can talk about accountability.
Russia and China have been increasingly close during this year. And the recent visit of Wang Yi this special week to Moscow is significant and ratifies that alliance. Do you interpret that China is getting in the way of the effort to find a peaceful solution?
Well above my pay grade. I don't know. I read about what you read, the closeness, but I also read that China's been critical of the war crimes, of the unfair balance of the bully attacking Ukraine, and the optics for the rest of the world. I think China has commented on how uncomfortable they are with what's going on. I certainly hope China doesn't aggravate the situation by adding more armaments to harm Ukraine, because this isn't an attack on Russia. This is Russia attacking Ukraine, and I don't know why China wants to hurt the Ukrainian people. That would be very sad to me.
But do you think it's possible that China provide Russia with arms?
I read the same newspapers you do. I don't have a clue, but I certainly hope not. I think it would. I'm trying to figure out why they would want to kill Ukrainian women and children, grandmothers, grandfathers. I just don't understand why that's in China's interest. I don't know.
Several Latin American countries have shown hesitant position on the invasion. How do you analyze that?
I don't know about the hesitancy. I've been really proud of what I've seen from countries like Argentina that has almost uniformly condemned Russia for this unwarranted invasion. Interestingly, Argentina chaired the UN Human Rights Council at the time of the invasion, and Argentina showed great leadership in the Human Rights Council in condemning Russia. Also at the UN, joining in, not just voting in favor of resolutions sponsored by others, but Argentina actually co-sponsored resolutions. And we partnered with Argentina. Argentina also voted this way at the OAS. And so while there are factions in any country, even my country, that say, that they'd love to see it come to an end right away, we would too. We would just like to see Putin leave. I wouldn't say that the Argentines aren't supporting Ukraine. I think they are.
But I'm not talking about Argentina exclusively. I'm talking about Brazil maybe, or Mexico, or Venezuela, of course, but where the influence of Moscow and Beijing, it's more visible.
Well, fortunately, I'm the ambassador to Argentina. What Venezuela and Nicaragua and Cuba does is, we can address that in other forums. But I think the countries of conscience, not just in Latin America, in Europe, in Asia, all around the world, are stepping up to say, Russia, go home. What you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. What recommendation would you give to countries that seeking partners like Russia in this moment or before?
I mean, how do you choose friends? Your friends are in your own personal life. Do you have friends that destroy your other neighbors' homes? Do you have friends that lock people up and torture them? Do you have friends that kill other people, or do you have friends that respect human rights? Even countries choose their friends and their relations. We like, in the United States, we prefer countries that value human rights and democracy, respect sovereign integrity and territorial borders. And so there does come a time for all countries to look and say, who are our friends, and who do we want to be in this world? Do we want to stand with the bully, or do we want that's destroying the world, or do you want to stand with peaceful, loving democracies?
I imagine you talk with this administration, with Fernandez administration, about this invasion. Do you expect a tougher position from Argentina, or it was okay enough? And with whom you talk about this?
I just want to say I'm thrilled that no matter who I talk to, whether in the leadership or the opposition, everybody tells me that they're proud that Argentina has stood up against Russia and supported Ukraine. I hope that continues in my country, and I know it will, and I hope it continues in your country.
Latin America has been opening its doors to Russia lately, based on different matters such as energy, pandemic, mining, or military assistance. What consequences may that have, and how to politically practical way to close those doors?
Well, I think there's a before and after, okay? You're talking about before the invasion, there were greater relations. Sputnik and I remember there was a Russian business council here in Argentina talking about investments. Since the invasion, it's been pretty quiet, I think. Sputnik certainly wasn't something to celebrate. It was a vaccine that was not very effective and not timely delivered, and not overall not a great help in Latin America. But I would take issue with the notion that Latin America is opening its doors to Russia. I don't see it. I hope it doesn't happen. I think that people who entertain bullies aren't always respected, and if our country entertained a bully, I think that we wouldn't respect ourselves. And you know, I can't tell Argentina what to do, or Brazil, or any other country, but you're talking Latin America, and I don't see what you're saying. I don't see that the doors are open to Russia.
And the last one, what place do you imagine history will hold to Vladimir Putin?
Oh, I think he's going to be in the history books of Idi Amin, of Adolf Hitler, of other tyrants that have just murdered people and engaged in war crimes, and lied, simply just lied. He got up the other day and he lied to the world that he was actually defending Russia from Nazi, or helping rid Ukraine of Nazis, and he was defending Russia from Ukraine and NATO aggression. And yet none of the skirmishes are in Russia. He went over the border to defend his country. It's ludicrous, and nobody believes what he's saying. I think that he will be held accountable for his crimes, and he will not hold a great place in history. Certainly not like other people like Gorbachev or other leaders of that country that have acquitted themselves very well.